How's it going? It's Joe. Welcome to the channel. We're going to be doing 3v3 of GAC today, and we're going to be going against Hung Lo here. So having a look at our matchup, oh, and by the way, he's got a really cool name. Just realized from me saying that out loud. So our matchup today, I've got 6.4 million GP at this point. He's got 300k more GP, matched in the top 80. In terms of relics as well. So lifetime banners, I do have about 30k more lifetime, and we're pretty much tied in all the other categories. Having a look at the mods though, he does have a bit of an edge in the plus 20 speed as well as the 6 dot and plus 10s. So definitely has a ton more speed mods than me. And having a look at his roster, the way he modded it, it's modded pretty optimally for speed priority. Now having a look at his GAC history, I couldn't deduce much from that, as I've only been able to see 5v5, so really no point in that. Having a look at his stats, his highest has just been Orodium, so it looks like this gent is working his way up to Kyber. He's also got a ton of offensive wins, although not that many defensive holds. He does have Jedi Master Luke and Kylo Ren, so pretty high GP in the top 80, having 2 Galactic Legends, and I do believe once he gets his 3rd Galactic Legend, he might still be able to get away with staying in 2.2 million GP in top 80. Now having a look at our board here, we're at about 9 hours left till finish. He's got Grievous in the front as well as Darth Revan. So I found this to be a pretty decent counter to this Grievous lineup. It's a Talzin lead with Daka and Spirit. Now firstly, you want to stun B2. That was the plan, and the great thing about it is you can just keep stunning all these droids here with all these characters while spreading some plague stacks. And really the idea behind this is having a decently tanky Daka. So I was told Relic 5 Daka will do. I do have my Daka at Relic 7, and I have her at about 140k health. And as you can see with this one, I don't particularly save my revives as I typically do in 3v3 or in 5v5, but in 3v3 you gain a ton of opportunities to use that revive, so there's really no point in saving it. And as you can see, we got through those B1 stacks pretty easily. And we're going to drop this Grievous with a little bit more protection on one of our Night Sisters, so we get 51 banners. And this gent did place the popular 3v3 lineup where you've got Finn as the leadership and you've got the Resistance heroes as well. So typically I use this Jedi Knight Revan against that Grievous that we just battled, or I usually save this for that Sith lineup where you've got Palp lead with Malak and Bastila Shan Fallen. However, we're going to utilize this against this particular matchup as I couldn't foresee using them in another lineup, as this team is pretty good at regaining banners, really. So I'm working a bit on the efficiency game, guys. Now the idea here is that he may have set a Galactic Legend in the back walls. So this was a huge risk in my part, using Supreme Leader Kylo Ren solo against this Darth Revan team. However, looking at the mods of this Darth Revan, it's by no means a pushover, as he's got about 338 speed in this Revan, And I believe the Bastille Shan is a little bit above 310 as well. So really this would have been a troublesome team. The other option I would have been able to use was to utilize Gas Lead. Although that could very quickly go sideways in 3v3. And with 3v3, it's always good to play it safe, as you really need to spread out your roster, is what I've realized. As typically, if you do set an extremely heavy defense, the problem is that towards the end, it's not that you won't be able to beat the next 3 squads that are left over, but it's mostly because you don't have the teams necessary to actually be able to defeat those squads. So I did undersize a bit here. I've had a bit of experience using this in 5v5. And I do believe this should work in 3v3 as well. Although as you find in 3v3, the turn meter actually acts a bit differently, as these characters gain turn meter really quickly. The great thing about Gas Lead here is these Night Sisters aren't going to be reviving, although Daka did prematurely use her revive there. And we did lose a fair bit of protection and health, so we don't get the extra banner. Now we did save a fair bit on offense, so this particular resistance team was no pushover either, as that BB-8 had a ton of speed. I believe he was close to being 320 speed. And in 3v3, this team is pretty much a banner stealing team. However, the CLS team in 3v3 is amazing, guys. It can beat a ton of B or C grade teams. And I do believe Chupio can do a ton of work in 3v3 as well. Now, having a look at our board, there weren't any Galactic Legends in the back walls, so we were able to utilize our Jedi Knight Luke here. And the great thing about having a fast Jedi with Luke is that you're able to utilize Jedi's will straight away, or Hero's Arise rather, and spread out the Jedi's will. And that way you just gain a ton of turn meter on Luke from the get-go. And really now I want to get that protection back on Shaak Ti, so I'm sort of delaying it a bit. Although towards the end I do get it back. Magna Guard does his counter attack, but we still end with 54 banners, which is pretty good. And up against this Mon Mothma, I generally tend to treat this team like a Geonosian team. So I utilize my Traya squad. Place the ability block on Biggs. And towards the end I did realize there was no way of getting the banners back, unfortunately, which is completely fine. Now in this ship's department he's got a Tarkin and a Separatist lineup with the Malevolence there. So at the bottom he's got Bounty Hunters First Order, and I did save Jedi Master Luke, so I should be able to use him here with some leftover Jedi. So whenever I look at a team, guys, I always think about how many banners I'm going to be able to get back with that particular team. Now Jedi Master Luke in the leadership is pretty decent, as he's got that fourth ability, I forget the name now. However, it does regain a little bit of protection when placed on a character. So although it's very minuscule what it adds to the protection, it still does add a little bit. So it all adds up towards the end. Although, as you can see here, I wasn't able to regain that bit of protection on Jedi Master Luke. And we get the 53 banners there. Now this is one of the more trickier teams that I typically like to use in 3v3 defense as well. The Asajj lead with Spirit or Zombie and Nest. As a lot of people usually like to underestimate this team. However, I did still save Wat Tambor, and I had Kylo Ren unmasked. He's pretty tanky at Relic 7. So really just place the Bactoid shield on him and just watch Sith Trooper do the work, as if you're able to place the weapon tech, then you're going to be able to apply so much damage. And now really I wanted to slow it down, as I wanted to get that bit of protection back on Kylo Ren. So we're going to cleanse that off, and it looks like we are at full protection towards the end. Now this was the hard decision to make, as I was going for the feat. So I did need to utilize a couple of characters that had Mandalorian armor. And that would have been Boba Fett, Mando, and Jango. So I did use that against this mirror match. However, it wasn't looking too good, as Jango actually obliterates my Boba Fett. And towards the end of this, looking at the mods of Jango, he was actually modded for speed, so it's a pretty fast Jango as opposed to a high damage. Although I do believe that is generally how people mod Jango these days. So I was quite lucky I was able to land the second ability and gain and still maintain my Bounty Hunter's Resolve on Jango, as really he's the MVP in this particular matchup. He dropped Boba and the opposing Jango as well, and this took a while. However, I was able to utilize my second ability, although Bosk was still regaining a ton of health and protection. Finally able to drop him there. And lastly, looking at this particular lineup, it's mainly a timeout squad, as you've got a High Relic L3 under Akira lead. The great thing about using Mando is that he works well against timeout teams like this. So with his leadership, really wanting to get to the payouts, which means we're just going to have to apply as much critical damage as we possibly can. And once we get to our payouts, we should be able to assassinate a couple of them. And I added in Dengar here as he does have stealth and the thermal detonators, ensuring that we're just constantly applying damage to these characters, as they do regain a fair bit having Vandor here as well as L3. And we finally get to our second assassinate. However, I was looking to get my protection back there. So I'll settle for the 53 banners. And of course the fleet battles. I do like saving both my meta fleets. And just had a quick look, ensuring that that was Sun Fac there, not Geospy, as that would have snuck up on me and possibly ruined my run. So now that we've established that it is Sun Fac, I do like using Ahsoka and Anakin in the starting lineup here. After they've utilized the AoE with buzz droids spread out, we want to call Plo Koon to clear the buzz droids, as Ian says. And now we're going for the spy here. He does go into stealth, and Plo Koon's third ability also clears the buzz droids, which is pretty handy. Now Spy is still in the stealth, so we're gonna quickly get rid of the Hyena Bomber if we can. $62 banners there. I probably could have undersized an extra fleet. However, I do like playing it safe as well in terms of the fleet battles, as once it does go sideways and I end up getting beat, it's hard to clean up with fleets, I find. Although for my cleanup squads, I do like to save my Radis. It's a pretty solid squad to use. And we really want to spread the buzz droids. So we bring out Spy. We got a force taunt on Darth Vader there. Gonna spread more buzz droids. So we've got 61 banners there. Looking at the score, and about 8 hours left to go, and Hung Lo still hasn't done his offensive battles. So having a look at my defense here, guys, in the front I did set Padme and Grievous. At the top I had Rey and a bunch of light side characters with rebels. In the back I did set my Geos and Imperial Troopers. And I do like setting the Palp lead with Malik and Vader. So it did take Hung Lo a while, however he did end up losing a couple battles against my Finn-led resistance heroes. I do find this team right here to be quite reliable on defense, especially if you've modded your resistance heroes decently. Bit of speed on resistance hero Finn, and mainly critical damage and critical chance on Poe. Although the ultimate winning strategy here was the Ray, BB-8 and JTR on defense, as I did realize my opponent had saved his Kylo Ren on offense as well as his Jedi Master Luke, so I'm not quite sure how he went about it. However, my Ray team ultimately held towards the end. And I do believe there was about 4 hours left on the clock as my opponent attacked, although he does like to slowly attack and take his time. It was a good game, and I'm quite happy with the result. So I hope you liked the content here today, guys. If you did, please leave a like, comment and subscribe. And as always, I will see you on the next one.